Hello mga kababayan, welcome to my channel. Welcome to Laruan ni Obi-Wan. For this afternoon's review, we have number 37 of the G.I. Joe Classified Series line. We have the Cobra Officer. Let's do a quick 360 of the box packaging. So let's examine the contents of our purchase. For the Cobra Officer figure, we have several accessories on board. Of course, we have the helmet. We have a weapon retention device. Now, the weapon retention device, I think, is going to store either of these two AK-styled rifles. So one is going to be an SMG or short machine gun of the AK variant. The other looks like an AK-47 but is not. We also have two magazines, either for these two rifles. We also have a sidearm, a weapon accessory for these AK styled rifles, and a combat knife or dagger. Let's do a quick 360 of the Cobra Officer figure, because primarily this is the meat of your purchase. So it's not the accessories. The accessories only provides additional trimmings to the figure, but basically this is what you are purchasing. As for articulation points, if you are familiar with any of the G.I. Joe Classified Series line of action figures, or you have at least 3 or 4 or 5 of this on board, then you are familiar with how these things could pose. So I withheld first on the first wave of G.I. Joe Classified Series Cobra Troopers, because I was not really satisfied with the design and the weapons that came with it, especially the body armor, which actually impeded a lot of the fine articulation points of the figure. But this time, with this release of the Cobra Officer, actually I could possibly make this a our army build on these action figures, because I could just take off this rank device on his shoulder, and immediately this becomes a Cobra Trooper. And if you would just resculpt the helmet, take off that rank insignia, then this figure becomes a Cobra Trooper, the one that is close to the 80s animated series that we watched. Okay, so what is the items or the things that I really like about this Cobra Officer figure? So as for the design, the first Cobra Trooper that we had, or G.I. Joe Classified Series gave us, actually had very limited articulation because of the thick body armor that covered the body. And I wasn't a fan of the weapon and pouch placements on the body armor of that figure, because actually it was really ridiculous and the placements was just not right. But with this Cobra Officer figure, we have really nice points of articulation because we don't have that really thick body armor. And the chest rig that is included with this figure actually still supports the articulation points of the body, because as you could see, they did not place any pouch on the middle of this chest rig. Actually, the pouches are more on the side of the body, which supports the diaphragm cut or the ab crunch on this figure, which really is okay. Because actually, if they were serious with giving us a really good figure, they could have just molded the body armor designs straight onto the body or the torso of the figure, and just give us a chest rig like this, so we could have our cake and eat it too. So we have an accessory that goes over the body, and we have a articulating but armored torso or body for the figure. So just thinking. As for the battle belt, the design of the battle belt, I'm really okay with this. I made a comparison with my other G.I. Joe classified series action figures, and somehow this pistol retention holster is smaller compared to the other ones that I have on board. I would only have wished that the pouches on the front, these two pouches, would have been a little bigger, just like the pouches on the chest rig, as to support gear or ammunition storage. But with these two little pouches, what could you possibly store in them? So candies possibly, or gum, or your car keys, or your passcode. I really don't know. So just too small of a pouch. The accessory for the rifle is placed on this pouch, and the magazine is placed on this pouch. As for placement of the pouches, actually, if they were serious in making this a really proper design, the pouch would have been placed, this rifle storage pouch would have been nicely placed on somehow on this area over here, and they could have just gave us a molded thing over here, a molded plastic pouch. Because as for weapons manipulation, if you're going to do a reload on your rifle, it's easier accessed on this side versus the center of the back. So just thinking. As for the placement of the fighting knife on this action figure, so the sheath is actually nice and molded, not too thick as compared to the other G.I. Joe classified series that we have on board. And actually you could still cut this off the straps and place this knife sheath on the belt area, because we have a lot of space here. So just thinking on the details of the design on this figure, but primarily I really like how this figure is done. So we have the weapon retention system for the Cobra officer figure. I kind of dislike it and I kind of like it at the same time. So a mixed bag. Now let's take a look first at the retention system for the longer rifle, which is included with the figure. So we have a peg, and we have for a peg for the pouch, or the rifle pouch, and we have a hole for the load bearing equipment or the chest rig, and we have a corresponding hole on the back of the figure. So you just peg it in this way and angle it according to your pull style, so either right or left. But with this system, if you placed it on right this way, somehow you're still going to expose the other items on the belt, and so with if you do it this way. So your style. But primarily or personally, I won't be slinging my rifle this way. I would rather have a sling. So this pouch somehow is going to be placed in my accessory bin and would be destined to another figure that I could possibly make in the future. But for this rifle, we have a indentation or a cut on the pouch, which is going to be the placement of the magazine portion. So when you place it in, you jam it in, actually it engages that magazine. So really nice touch on the designers, but somehow a sling would have been just nice on this rifle, actually, because we already have a sling on the buttstock of this rifle. So we already have a sling port over there, but they did not give us a sling. Pouch was given to this figure. Anyway, so for the ammunition carrying system, so we have the spare mag placed on the small of the back, right smack in the center of your spine. So that is going to be really uncomfortable if this was a true battle belt. Try sitting or on a vehicle or driving on a vehicle with a full-sized banana style AK-47 magazine fully loaded, which is going to really hurt your back. And the worst thing is, if you fall on your back this way, you're going to end up paralyzed. So either upper body or lower body, depends on your fall, but nobody stores a full-sized magazine or any metal equipment on the small of the back. As for the equipment placement, the rifle light, so the pouch is wide enough to accommodate that light. For the pistol, once again, the crown is not covered, so the pistol guard is covered, but because of the length of the barrel, so your barrel is really exposed. So if you sit on a bench, the crown of your barrel is going to get hit. If you sit on the ground, if there's a rock on the ground, your barrel is going to get hit, and that is going to render your upper slide out of battery. Or if you're just plain out barrel sticking out this way, that's going to hurt the crown of your barrel, so rendering your pistol inaccurate, and possibly you could even have a really ridiculous misfire because of a dented crown. So anyway, I'll just be possibly looking into other pistols that I have on board to place on this holster, and possibly situating these two things to the side over here, because of course when the other thing is, when I play with this figure, actually the magazine becomes dented, because if you do that, you dent that magazine and it all falls off of place. So that's not a very nice placement for that. Actually, the nicer placement would be on this side, because no matter what type of bend that you do, somehow I think that the magazine won't fall off. But for the back, the magazine, because of how high it is, actually drives into the side or the back side of the chest rig, so it always falls off. So let's take a look at the weapons that are included with this Cobra officer figure. So the placement of the knife actually is okay, covers the whole sheath, the knife blade I mean, not the sheath. As for the pistol, okay, you could just find another pistol for this figure, but the pistol that they included actually is a nice looking pistol. Looks like a World War II Luger, German Luger, or any of your present 22 LR precision pistols. So yeah, nicely designed. This thing I hate, because you really don't know what this is. It's supposed to be an AK pistol, but we don't have any magazine port on this side. The magazine port is on this side, which is really ridiculous for an AK pistol. I haven't seen this kind of design only in World War II weapons. They could have given us a better accessory. So somehow I really don't like this thing. But with the longer one that they gave us, so looks like an AK-47, but it's not an AK-47. So the charging handle actually is located on the other side. The AK-47 has the charging handle on this side. But as for other aspects or characteristics of the AK-47, we have it here on this longer rifle, and we have a retractable buttstock for this rifle. The design, I mean, but with the stock that is attached to this rifle, it is not retractable or multi-positional. It is fixed. So we have a hole over here for placement of the weapon light. So let's take out the weapon light and attach it to the rifle. So it attaches this way. Oops, it fell. So let's take it back and slide it in right, nice and right. So did I slide it in nice and secure? Yep. So looks this way. So I hope the camera catches the angles and the design. So is it an okay design or not? So far nicely designed, okay, but they could have just gave us a straight AK rifle with a accessory or a light that's attached to it, but that is a nice touch for this rifle, that we have a detachable magazine. But with small things like this, it is easily somehow, if you play with this figure, you could detach this thing and somehow you'll lose it. So I still would rather have a straight out design like this. So by all standards, feels like and looks like a full AK-47 with a grenade launcher attachment. So I think that I'm going to use this accessory with this figure and somehow mod that belt. So if you don't want to take out your X-Acto knife and really cut pouches and belt systems and reglue stuff, then this is your option. Actually, it is instead of cutting things, I already figured out how I'm going to display this action figure with the accessories that he already has. So actually I won't be making use of this pouch and the other SMG that this action figure comes with. It's just going to be this AK styled rifle with the light attachment, the knife, the pistol, and the extra magazine. So how are we going to do with the system? So it's going to be just this simple. So just rotate the belt. So from the right side, just rotate the belt, so you now have a cross draw belt, a cross draw pistol, I mean. Now with the two pouches, you expose the two pouches to the front of the belt. So the knife, of course, is going to be a hard draw for the knife if you have the pistol on this side. So just transfer the knife to the right thigh of the action figure. Now what is the benefit of this? So actually this is tactical, practical, and at the same time the system when I play with this figure, somehow the magazine, when I place it well in, it just won't fall off or bend compared to when I place it on the back side of the figure. Because right now, even if I play with the figure, so actually it just goes with the flow, and it won't detach. And I still have an extra pouch over here, so for the tactical community or gun guys out there, so if for example Joe's just made a tactical retreat, so the Cobra officer could just make a tactical reload if the magazine on this AK styled rifle isn't too expended. So for example, he still has about 5 or 10 rounds on this magazine. So what he could do, since this mag is fresh, is just take out the semi-expended magazine and place it on the weapon light pouch that way. So actually, we still have use for this extra pouch, just in case you want to make this as a play piece. So since this figure does not have a dump pouch for magazines or equipment, then you have a extra pouch over here where you could do a tactical reload, and at the same time take out the other mag and give this rifle a fresh magazine full of 30 rounds. So very quick, simple fix. And the knife is on the right side of the thigh, no need to cut or glue. So actually you still get to have a figure that is reversible in nature, wherein if you want to sell it, then just swap or switch that belt and then reload all of the accessories, and you could sell it to another person if you just get tired with this figure, or you just want to trade it for another figure. Of course, if the other person too wants a mint figure with all of the accessories intact. So that's it. So you have a tactical practical system, so something that is playable and at the same time is realistic. So if you like this video, like, comment, and subscribe to help me grow my channel, of course. So see you on the next action figure review.